Hi guys, welcome back to another deck profile video. Today we're doing my favorite archetype of all time, which is the Gravekeepers. These guys have been around since nearly the very beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's debatable whether these are one of the first ever archetypes or not, but they're definitely still good even in today's metagame where they actually shut down a good bit of the meta decks. And I'm going to show y'all what cards I use in this deck to pretty much put a little damper on my opponent's plays. Let's get started. Oh, there. Phoenix is one to show himself early. Okay. Let's move you to the side right here. Alright, first off, we got 3 Gravekeeper Spies. I know the effect's kind of slow, but it's still a pretty good effect where if she's flipped at all, just flipped. So one Gravekeeper monster with 1500 attack or less from the deck. So pretty much almost every Gravekeeper is acceptable except for the big boys. Big boys are not targeted by this. You have 3 Gravekeeper headbands, which this card, when it's summoned in any way, you can even combo it with Gravekeeper Spy right there. There you go. You can special summon one Gravekeeper from your graveyard, level 4 or less. And with certain cards in the Gravekeeper deck, you can do some crazy combos right off the bat with just that card. Then we have 3 Gravekeeper's Recruiter. In this card, when it's sent to the graveyard, you're able to add one Gravekeeper monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. So once again, you can add Headman, you can add Commandant, you can add almost any other Gravekeeper monster with 1500 less defense to your hand. It's pretty good. You have 3 cards that are necessary for the deck as well. 3 Gravekeepers Commandant. Now this card, you discard it from your hand, then you can have one Necro value from your deck to your hand, which is the heart and soul of the deck, is that field spell. Then we're going to break off it between the Gravekeepers for 3 hand traps, 3 Ash Blossoms of Joyous Springs. Now this is my hand trap I've chosen for this deck. You can use any other hand trap you wish, but I just like Ash Blossom. I think that it's a good card for this deck. Now to get back into the Gravekeepers, we have 2 Gravekeeper Spiritualists. Now the only reason I have 2 is because I don't have a third, so I have to make it work with what I got. Until I get me a third Spiritualist in. For now, she's fine. She pretty much acts like a living polymerization to bring out one of the big boss monsters of the extra deck. Then we have 1 Gravekeeper's Assailant, 1 Gravekeeper's Oracle, and 1, I can never say his first name, I just call him Makaju. Anyways, reason why the Gravekeeper's Assailant is when Necro Valley is on the field, this card attacks, you target your opponent's monster and switch its balance position. It's good for getting over opponent's monsters to have high attack or defense. I know it's a bit outdated, but it's always been my favorite, so to me it's going to be used in this deck regardless. Gravekeeper's Oracle. It has 3 powerful effects depending on how many Gravekeepers you tribute to bring it out. Its first effect is this card gains attack equal to the combined levels of the tributes. So he can become a pretty big beefy boy. Then it says destroy all set monsters your opponent controls. Now while your opponent does not set as many monsters as they used to back in the day, you have spell cards and trap cards that can do that still. That can make them go face down. So if you're using a combo like that, it could still be good. I sadly do not have one, but still. And third one, which is pretty good, all your opponent's monsters lose 2000 attack and defense. So what's good about that is it's not targeted. So that means any other monsters that cannot be targeted by card effects are going to get hit with this. And you can hit them for some pretty good damage. Next up we have some of the single spells. We're going to start off with Field Barrier, Dark Ruler No More, Regeki, and everyone's favorite field spell, Mystic Mind. Now the reason I have Mystic Mind is if Necro Valley for whatever reason is taken out, I have a backup plan, which is Mystic Mind. Mystic Mind, opponent controls more monsters than you, none of their effects can activate it, and they cannot attack. Regeki destroys all cards on the field, Dark Ruler No More negates effects, and Field Barrier protects any of your field spells. So, I know a lot of people are like, you have Mystic Mind in the deck. Yes, I do have Mystic Mind. Why would I not use Mystic Mind in a deck? Just saying. It's a good card. Don't judge me. Next up, we have 2 Hidden Temples of the Necro Valley. Now, this card, you can only activate when you have both the Gravekeeper and Necro Valley on the field, but near players can special summon monsters except for Gravekeeper monsters. If a Gravekeeper monster or Necro Valley is not on the field, destroy this card. So pretty much, it's a floodgate. It stops your opponent from special summoning and everything. Then we have 2 very powerful spell cards right here, Royal Tribute, and this card can only be activated when you have Necro Valley on the field, but when you do, discard all monsters in your hands. Now, for Gravekeepers, that's not a big deal. It's really not. But for your opponent, that could be a pain, especially if they haven't had a chance to pull off their combo. And if you have Necro Valley activated, they can't use the effects in the graveyard, so they're kind of screwed at that point. Then we have, oh shoot, it's dropping from me. 3 Necro Valley of the Thrones. I mean Necro Valley Throne, not of the throne. Anyways, you go ahead and take 1 effect, and this thing has 2 good effects. Add a Gravekeeper monster from your deck to your hand, or immediately after this card effect resolves, normal summon 1 Gravekeeper monster. You can only activate 1 once per turn, so it acts like a Rhoda for the Gravekeepers. Or an extra summoning. Then we have 3 of the must-have field spells in this deck, and I'm talking about Necro Valley. Now, I do not have the newest version of Necro Valley, because as you all know, they keep changing this thing's effect. But what it does is it gives your Gravekeepers 500 attack and defense. Cards in your player's graveyard cannot be removed for play. Their effects... Anyways, it's just changed so much, it's hard for me to keep up with what's going on now. But, I think... This one is one of the newest ones right here. So here, all players' monsters gain 500... all Gravekeeper monsters, not players' monsters, still have Ori Calcos. All Gravekeeper monsters gain 500 attack and defense. Cards in your player's graveyard cannot be banished. Negate any card effects that would move a card in the graveyard or then itself to a different place. That's what that one does. And it applies to all of you. Every single one of you. And then whatever the newest one is, because I think there's another one released now. I'm not sure. It's hard to keep up. Konami, make up your minds. What do you want this to be? Anyways, it blocks the graveyard. End of story. Get over here. Next up, we have the trap cards. We have... Oh my goodness. I'm trying to get them all over here. Got 2 Solemn Strikes. Pretty much stops your opponent for special summon or a monster effect that would activate. Pay 1500 life points, negate the summoning, negate the effect, and destroy the card. Not that bad. Then we have 2 Imperial Tunes in Necro Valley. Pretty much, when an effect is activated, and you have both this and Necro Valley on the field, you can negate the effect, and if you do, destroy it. But you can only activate 1 of these once per turn, which really ain't that bad. My deck is trying to fall here. Then we have 2 Dark Renewals, and when your opponent normal summons or special summons a monster, target 1 of those monsters and 1 spellcaster type monster you control, send both to the graveyard, then you can special summon 1 dark spellcaster type monster from your deck. So there you go. Your opponent summons something, just straight, nope, it's mine now. I use it for summoning. I bring forth my monster. Then to finish off, we have 1 Solemn Judgment. As you know what this card does, it's pretty much a big no to everything at the cost of half your life points. Now, on to the extra deck. For some reason my TV just came on and I just noticed it. Anyways, on to the extra deck, which we have 2 Gravekeeper Supernaturalist. Now the only reason I have 2 is, once again, that's all I got. I gotta work with what I got. But this card gains attack and defense equal to the combined levels of the fusion materials used for it, which is 100. And while Necro Valley is on the field, this card and any cards in your field zone, cannot be destroyed by card effects. During your main phase, you can activate this effect during the end phase of this turn. Add 1 Gravekeeper monster or Necro Valley from your deck to your hand. You can only use the effect of Supernaturalist once per turn. Now the only thing I hate about this effect is that you activate during the main phase, but then you can't use it till the end phase. which can cause mistiming and all types of unnecessary headaches. It wouldn't have been that broken if it did it during the main phase. Or they could have at least said main phase 2. Or something. It just, to me, it's a bit of a headache because you could easily forget, especially if you're in the middle of an epic combo like, oh crap, I forgot it. Ugh. And nobody would blame you. And then we have, I'm going to throw some single monsters out here. First we have number 66 Master Key Beetle, Nightmare Cerberus, and Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Now, Key Beetle pretty much detach material, and one card on the field you select cannot be destroyed. But if they were to destroy Key Beetle, you can remove that card instead to save Key Beetle. Nightmare Cerberus, you can link summon this guy with 2 monsters with different names. If this card is link summoned, you can discard 1 card, then target 1 special summon monster your opponent's main monster zone and destroy it. Then if this card is co-linked with something else, you can draw a card when you activate that effect. Trishula, a very powerful dragon right there. When this card is synchro summoned, you can banish up to 1 card of each from your opponent's hand, field, and graveyard. But to me, Master 66 Key Beetle is key essential out of all of them. Because like I said, he protects your Necro Valley and your spells and your monsters even. It's pretty cool. Then we have another single lineup. We have 101 Shark Horror Arc, Starlight Red Archfiend, Esureju, Skull Dread. Then we have Barricade Board Blocker, Lady Dragon of the Swamp. And the reason I have him in here is because I do have a Super Poly in my extra deck. I mean, not my extra deck, in my side deck. If you want me to show the side deck, I will show it in another video or post it in the comments of this. Then we have 1 Red Dragon Archfiend, 1 Black Rose Dragon, Abyss Dweller, and 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and 1 Nightmare Phoenix. I'm pretty sure all of you know exactly what all their effects are, and probably knew the other 3. I don't know why I read them out, but I still did. But if you want me to tell you these effects, I will in another video, or just look them up yourself if you want to. Either way, don't bother me. Come here, come here. Get all bundled up, get all bundled up. But anyways, guys, that's my Gravekeeper deck right there. Tell me what you think. What you would add or remove from this deck. I said, this is the Gravekeeper cards I got, this is what I had to work with, this is what I pretty much thought worked best for my style. Y'all might have something different, y'all might have something better, might have something worse. Anyways, I hope you found this helpful, and I hope that it helps you build your own Gravekeeper decks. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next video. Bye.